Guys, Melissa here from Alive Refurbish. In today's video, we're gonna be restoring a beautiful antique, and this piece has a very special meaning to my customer because it belonged to her grandparents. In fact, it was the first piece of furniture that they purchased after they got married. And today we're gonna be bringing it back to life. So if you don't wanna miss on this makeover, keep watching. As you can tell, this piece has given a lot of love to this family over the years, but today is time to give some of that love back and breathe some new life into it. And we're gonna start by removing this back detail and all of the hardware. We're gonna be able to salvage these two knobs, but the rest of the hardware, oh my gosh, it's just too far gone to be salvageable. But I'm gonna look in my stash and see if I have any other beautiful hardware that will match this beautiful antique style. Before I start sanding this beauty, I'm just giving everything a quick wipe with some soapy water. Every piece is different and some are harder to sand than others, but thankfully this one is sanding beautifully with 120 grit. If you notice, there are some wooden details on the doors and my customer really wants to preserve those, so I am sanding them very carefully with my Surfprep sanding system. While this system sands those details, it doesn't damage them. It's also perfect for these square edges and any curved details like the curves on these legs. The drawers insides needed a lot of love also, and especially this top one. It had some velvety fabric on it, stuck with lots of glue, so I removed the bottom of it to make it easier to remove the fabric and the glue. And I just used my spatula and started scraping as much as I could. And all the remnants that were not coming off with the spatula, I sanded them off with my orbital sander. All I can say is what a difference, and now I can start cleaning my piece with some TSP substitute. But after I'm done, I'm gonna let my piece sit overnight to dry and I will start working on all the repairs tomorrow. The first repair is going to be filling in these gaps that you can see here in these wooden pieces that broke off. A couple of those pieces broke off when I was taking the hardware off, so I'm actually going to be using those to create some molds and fill in the gaps. For this, you'll need some Bondo, some hot glue, steering stick, a plate or a piece of cardboard to mix in the Bondo, and some gloves. To make the molds, I'm using the pieces that broke off and I'm just covering them with hot glue. A few minutes later, after the hot glue has dried, you can pull those old pieces. Now that your molds are ready, we're going to be mixing some Bondo. Bondo is a two-part product. You're going to see that the hardening cream comes in a pink color. Please read the instructions to find out how much you'll need to mix. I have used these products so much that I can just eyeball it. Once your mixture is monochromatic, it's ready to use. You want to mix this fast because it is a quick drying product and it dries like cement. But after about 15 minutes, you're going to be able to pull your new parts. Since some of the edges on my pieces were a little bit rough, I sanded them smooth with a fine sanding paper. To glue them in place, I'm going to be using this tie-bond glue. But before I apply any of the glue, I want to play around with my pieces to see where they fit best. After I figured out where each piece would go, I applied tie-bond on each one and wiped off any excess glue with a damp rag. The wooden details had cracks all throughout, and there were still some gaps in between the new pieces and the detail. So to fill in any of those gaps and cracks, I use a light coat of wood filler. To push in some of that wood filler in those cracks without damaging the details, I use a bristle brush. Now, this bottom piece also had a big chunk of the detail that was missing, and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to make a mold because it wouldn't be symmetrical. So the best I could, I added some wood filler, and using a screw, I gave it some texture to try to match the rest of the piece and make it more symmetrical. To finish off all the repairs, I injected some glue under this veneer and then just clamped it, and I'm gonna let all the repairs sit and dry overnight. I can finally start priming my piece. I'm gonna be using clear shellac. Remember that this primer blocks any wood tannings that could possibly filter through your new finish, making it look uneven. Even when you are painting with a dark color, it's always a good idea to use a couple coats of primer, let it dry, and then do a scuff sanding. Always remember to wipe off the dust that you create after you sand. White primer highlights any imperfections, and I want to take a look and see if I really filled in every single gap in these wooden details, and as far as I can tell, everything looks good. So that means I can move on to painting. But before doing that, I'm gonna be taping the top since it's gonna be stained and the rest is gonna be painted in a blue color. My customer asked for an ashy blue, so I'm gonna be mixing these two colors from Fusion Mineral Paint. This right here is gonna be my base color. I applied 2 coats. Just a little FYI, when I was removing the hardware and I tried to unscrew the hinges that hold the doors to the buffet, I realized that I could not get those unscrewed, and I decided just to leave them on and paint carefully around them. To stain the top, I'm using the Spice Walnut Wood Stain. It's an oil-based product from General Finishes. For the next step, we're gonna be applying a color wash using the Algonquin color from Fusion Mineral Paint. I'm gonna apply this watered down mixture over my paint and then wiping off any excess with a wet rag. The point of this color wash is to highlight the wood grain, and it's gonna create a ceruse look. For this technique, the only tip I want to give you is to wipe off following the wood grain. Keep folding up your rag so that you use the areas that are less saturated with paint. I like to damp my rags just a little bit, but sometimes they can be a little too dry, so then I just have some water at hand that I can keep applying over my rag, and that way I can keep working on the color wash. Here I wasn't super excited about the doors, so I just went back, applied some more of my base color, which is the dark blue, and then apply the light color over it, creating more of a uniform look. And perhaps these might have even lightened the paint onto these areas, which is totally fine because I feel like these details deserve to be highlighted. I am using my go-to top coat, which is High Performance Flat from General Finishes. I know that these pieces are prone to water damage because they are used as servers, so I am going to be applying a total of 4 coats on this piece. I'm gonna be applying a very light coat of rough and buff on this hardware that I was able to find that is absolutely stunning. I think my customer is gonna be pleasantly surprised. And to make sure that the old hardware matches to the new one, I'm applying a light coat on all of it. And to revive the wood inside the doors and the drawers, I apply some restorative finish. You can always top coat restorative finish with either hemp oil or beeswax or furniture salve. Do you remember the drawer I took apart? Well, after I put some restorative finish, I nailed the bottom back on and it looked 10 times better. All we have left to do is add this gorgeous hardware. Well, isn't this piece gorgeous? So glad we were able to breathe new life into it, love it back, and now that it's been loved, it's ready to go back to the family that it came from and give some love back. Let me know what you think of this makeover in the comments. Also, my customer couldn't decide between keeping the wood bare or doing this blue color. What color would you have chosen if this was your piece? Let me know in the comments.
Enjoy this video as always, and I want to remind you that just like there is hope for these pieces of furniture, it doesn't matter how tough things get, there's always hope for you. Please remember to subscribe and to turn on your notifications button so that you don't miss out next time I post a video. Until next time.